Good evening, everyone. It is so wonderful to see more people than usual. There are no basketball games, no football games. Spring fling must be over by now. It's 6 o'clock, so yay, we've got a fuller circle. So thank you all for sharing this part of your Sunday with us. We will be welcoming Sam Parrott, who is up here, sitting right here. We're thrilled to have Sam with us. And we're also welcoming Nancy Toms. She comes in and out, and we love it when she's in. And she and Bill are going to be singing for us. So we have a great, great Earth Day service. This year it fell a little later. Sometimes it falls on the Sunday when it's the actual day, but it's okay. Every day should be Earth Day, shouldn't it? So that's great. Couple of quick announcements. We're coming up to May, and on the 12th of May, we will be gathering again, and it is Mother's Day evening, and we will have a wonderful Mother's Day evening tea, and we have a terrific service, the Divine Feminine, and it's devoted to the heroine's adventure. It will be a lot of fun. Then later on the fourth Sunday, we will be doing, we'll have another service. We will be doing Lectio Visio, which if you're familiar with Lectio Divino, it's about reflecting on holy words, holy writing. This way we are going to reflect on art. So a different approach. It will be Memorial Day weekend, and then following the Monday, the next day, we will gather together as we did last year in the labyrinth down here, and we will be reading the names of the service members who are no longer with us. And then at 3 o'clock, we will join with others throughout the country in playing taps around America. So May is a busy, busy, busy month. So on that note, I think that's it. I've seen David Heatherly. He's doing well. His strength is increasing. We're hoping for his endurance to do the same. Please keep him in your good thoughts and prayers. And we can all say, "Hi, David." Hi. Great. And to our Zoomers, welcome. On that note, I am going to ask everyone to please stand as we honor the directions. And one little program note, Sam will be speaking, but we will not be doing questions from the circle. After the service, we have lemonade and cookies, and Sam is going to stay, and he will answer all of our questions. We're just thrilled. All right.
This gathering prayer honoring the directions was created by Reverend Jenny Doctor, born and raised in the Onondaga Reservation in New York. Now, facing east. We look to the south and give honor and thanks to the Creator for all gifts given. Place of warmth comes golden color. Okay. We look to the east and give honor and thanks to the Creator of all gifts given. Place of rising sun comes red color. Our time of infancy, time of emotional growth. Receive love for all that is to come. Now a quarter turn to the right, facing south.
We give honor and thanks to the Creator.
We look to the south and give honor and thanks to the Creator for all gifts given. Place of warmth comes golden color, our time of childhood, time of physical growth. Receive strength for our visit upon Mother Earth. Now all together, we give honor and thanks to the Creator. Now a quarter turn to the right, facing west. We look to the west and give honor and thanks to the Creator for all gifts given. Place of setting sun comes black color, our time of adulthood, time to seek knowledge, bear fruit for the generations to come. Now, altogether, we give honor and thanks to the Creator. Now, a quarter turn to the right, facing north. We look to the north and give honor and thanks to the Creator for all gifts given. Place of the ancient ones comes color white, our time of being an elder, time of wisdom, spirituality lives to go forth. Altogether, we give honor and thanks to the Creator. Now, facing the center, we look to the center of our being and give honor and thanks to the Creator for all gifts given. In the center of this sacredness, we honor all we have become to live with the good mind. All together now. It is done now. We are complete with the Creator, and now we can go forth to see what we must make to take us where we need to be, that place where love and peace surround. We go with the Creator with us. Namaste.
Please be seated.
Holy words from the Way of Life according to Lao Tzu. Before creation, a presence existed, self-contained, complete, formless, voiceless, mateless, changeless, which yet pervaded itself with unending motherhood. Though there can be no name for it, I have called it the way of life. Perhaps I should have called it the fullness of life, since fullness implies widening into space, implies still further widening, implies widening until the circle is whole. In this sense, the way of life is fulfilled. Heaven is fulfilled. Earth fulfilled. And a fit person also is fulfilled. These are the 4 aptitudes of the universe, and a fit person is one of them. Humankind rounding the way of the earth, earth rounding the way of heaven, heaven rounding the way of life, till the circle is full.
Many of us in this stone circle found our way into the Spartanburg ecosystem from other places, other regions. I myself am a transplant from a nearby Sandhills ecosystem. After many decades, like most of you, I have become naturalized to the native landscape. Someone like the more recently arrived groundhogs, yes? We all share this ecosystem with gratitude for what it has brought to our lives. We are honored to have in our circle tonight Sam Parent, a native son of the Spartanburg ecosystem, a heroic character who even as a precocious and energetic youngster heard and responded to a calling that set him upon a journey that he has pursued with passion and love. Like a gallant knight of the Arthurian tradition, he brings back the Grail, a metaphorical boon which he renders to our community, hard-won and sophisticated skill sets, and experience rendered now in the service of our we community, our Spartanburg ecosystem. I give you now Sam Now.
Thank you, Bill. That was a very eloquent introduction and very nice. My name's Sam Parrott, and I am the Executive Director of Spartanburg Area Conservancy. We go by SPACE. I think I see a few nods out there. This is going to be an informal kind of talk, but raise your hand if you've heard of SPACE and you have a grasp of what we do. Okay, great. Of the people that raise their hand, how many of you would say the thing that we're most known for is the Cottonwood Trail? Would you say that? It's okay if you do. Cottonwood Trail? I think the community, a lot of people feel that way. But I'm going to start with myself, and then I'll talk about SPACE. As Bill said, I grew up in Spartanburg, and I love Spartanburg. I love the upstate of South Carolina. Grew up in Converse Heights, and kind of my first taste of freedom, really, was getting the ability to ride my bike with my friends down to this green space called the Cottonwood Trail. 8, 10 years old, whatever I was, we'd go down there and play in the creek, take our dogs down there, catch turtles, really kind of where my love for the outdoors began. And took it for granted, really, that there was this green space right there in my own backyard that I could go to whenever I wanted and enjoy, and free of charge right there for me to take and use and enjoy and appreciate. Well, I went through school, didn't know at all what it was that I was going to do with my life and my career, and I went to Wofford College, so I never really left Spartanburg until I graduated college. But I ended up falling in love with some of the professors and ended up getting a major in environmental studies and business. Professors like John Lane, if anybody here knows John, really instilled this love for the outdoors that I already had, but just kind of bolstered it. Even coming out of Wofford, I didn't know exactly what it was that I was going to do. I love the outdoors, love being outside, love wildlife, love wild places, and decided that I was going to take an internship with a local conservation organization in Arizona, of all places. And that's where I was first introduced to the idea of land trusts or local land conservation organizations, nonprofits. That's what SPACE is. SPACE is a land trust. And I guess now's the time that we'll go in and talk about land trusts and talk about SPACE in particular. Land trusts function in a few different ways. We protect land is the core of what we do. But we do it in 2 different ways. One would be the Cottonwood Trail model. You find a really special place that the community cares for and appreciates, and think that that place would be better just the way it is instead of an apartment complex or a shopping mall or whatever it may be. And somebody's got to raise the money to do that. Land isn't free. Sometimes we'll get land donated. Donated land is wonderful, but a lot of times it's not. So SPACE is an organization, kind of the primary way that we can serve land is find that special place and then fundraise and acquire it. And then in many cases, we own it. And that's where kind of the spirituality side, if you want to tie in the religious side of it, you become the term in our line of work is steward. Steward, it's called stewardship. And speaking to this group, I think we can all have our own idea and definition of that word, and that's, if it's God's creation, it's been left to us to take care of and to steward it and make it better and look after everything below us. And that's, in an organizational sense, that's what SPACE is doing. So we own, since we've been an organization, a land trust, founded in 1989, which makes us the second oldest in the state of South Carolina. And it's land trusts in general are a fairly new concept, but the Cottonwood Trail was the foundation of the organization. That was actually a donated piece of property to the organization that we've built over time since then. We also, in 2022, right across from Bill's house, we acquired the Glendale Mill property. If anybody, raise your hand if you've been to the Glendale Mill property. If you haven't, I would recommend going and seeing it. It's a really special and wonderful place. So that's our acquisition, raising money, buying land side of what we do. We also work with private landowners to protect their property with a legal document called a conservation easement, which restricts certain things on the property, such as subdivision or putting a Walmart on it. So we do conservation in a few different ways, either buying it for public access and for recreation or easements. But I think the next question is, what kind of properties? What are the types of properties that Space is looking to buy? And now we're getting into the nitty-gritty pulpit. It'll feel right standing at a pulpit talking about it, because I think of land and the things that we're about to talk about very spiritually. That's where I go and get peace, find peace, and feel most at home and most connected to the earth and most connected to my Creator, for sure. So the things that we care about when protecting a piece of property are, and I'll just kind of go down the list, if it's got river frontage, and I'll talk about why, I guess the byproduct, which would be, we're sitting here looking at these vases with water in them. I feel like there's such a disconnection these days between looking at the rivers that we have and saying, well, that's where my water comes from. You know, the drinking water that sustains me, that's the water that I bathe in. And it's so easy to be disconnected and not think about, a riparian river buffer and having clean water and having green spaces protected around your water. It's another, just like when I was a kid with the Cottonwood Trail, it's a thing that you take for granted. But I promise you, the people in Flint, Michigan don't feel that way. So I think the world would be a lot better place if we didn't take our rivers for granted and took better care of them. So river frontage, that's one. The second would be the potential to have public access for anybody to be able to go out to that piece of property and escape and find peace for free. And that's one thing that Space does with the Cottonwood Trail, with Glendale, with our Glendale Mill property, is acquiring properties so that anybody in the area can go out and enjoy them. 3 is wildlife habitat. We're not the only people that live, or the only things that live in Spartanburg County. And it sometimes feels that way, and feels like people forget about the beasts below us, in a literature way, but God put it upon us to look after, to create His creation, essentially, and everything below Him. 4 would be farms. That's one thing that we're losing a lot of in Spartanburg County. And that the byproduct of protecting farms is, as a community, we want to be reliant on ourselves and have the access to local foods instead of reliant on outsiders to provide our food for us. And living in a community without access to food it's a scary proposition to be in. And then lastly, kind of the overall of all of this is the quality of life that comes from having protected places in your community. I've seen places where it's a suburb all the way across. Spartanburg is the 8th fastest growing city in the country. I didn't know if y'all knew that, the census data. We all ooh and ah, but look around. I think we can all say, personally, know of a piece of property that may be near the house or on our drive to work or whatever, where, that used to be a beautiful forest, and it's not that way anymore, and you see houses going up. It's happening all over Spartanburg County. So I've got some interesting numbers. In the state of South Carolina, Spartanburg County is 42nd out of the 46 counties in terms of our percentage of protected lands, protected green spaces, at 3% of the entire acreage. So if you took the 500 and so thousand acres in Spartanburg County, 3% are protected. Over half of that is Croft State Park. There's many counties in Spartanburg, or in the state of South Carolina, that have 30 to 40% protected lands. Just to put that into perspective, we're way, way, way behind in terms of setting things aside and being good stewards in our community and taking care of our home. On the flip side of that, Spartanburg County is behind Greenville County. It's second out of 46 counties in terms of the acreage of Spartanburg County that has already been developed. And once something's developed, you're never gonna get it back. If it's paved over, it's gone. Spartanburg County is 25% developed currently right now. So 3% protected, 25% developed. And really, I know it's like the doom and gloom part of this of this conversation, but it doesn't have to be that way. I love speaking at things like this so that people can hear these things and it starts turning the wheels about, wouldn't our community be a lot better place and a more wonderful place and if we strategically and thoughtfully protected places that are important to us throughout Spartanburg County. And there's a lot of very special places in Spartanburg County, private lands or acquisitions. So it has implications on your water, all of those things, but also your traffic, if everything gets developed, and then the feeling that you have when you're in your backyard, when you're going home. So I had this very interesting thing happen when I took this job. I took this job about 1.5 years ago, and I'm going to try to tie everything together. I went to a property that we own and that's protected on Fairview Church Road. Does anybody know Fairview Church Road on the other side of 85? And it's a beautiful property. We lease it to a young couple, first-generation farmers. We actually put on a little grant where anybody could apply for their plans to use the property, and whoever had the best application would get the access to use the property. And this first-generation farmers wanted to start farming, put in their application, and they got it. So they run an organic farm on that piece of property. When I drove in there the first time, I pulled in through the gate and saw a bird. And it's a swallowtail kite is the name of the bird, if anybody knows anything about birds. If you don't know anything about them, they're beautiful. They're kind of a bird of prey. They have this split tail, hence the swallowtail kite, and they soar on the wind, and really kind of a majestic bird. I knew they were rare, and I thought it was a pretty cool thing. The more I learned about them and what I was witnessing, the more it became just this amazing analogy for conservation. So I started making some phone calls to friends that I have at DNR, and they sent me articles from their state wildlife action plan. It's called the SWAP. They put it out about every 5 years. The people at DNR said there is approximately 120 to 150 breeding pairs of swallowtail kites in the state of South Carolina. So it's a state endangered bird. When I went out there, I didn't see one, I saw 10. So I'm sitting there doing the math, like what is that percentage? That's a significant percentage of the amount of swallowtail kites in the state of South Carolina, according to DNR, on our property. They came, they were there for a few weeks, and then they were gone. So I was like, well, where did they go? They nest earlier in the year in the cypress swamps of South Carolina, and then in July, August, they go branch off to go find food. It's not a coincidence that they're coming to this piece of property. I'm sure it's a part of their historic range of where they would go when they would feed, and now it's so developed around it, but it's in their range, and fortunately for those swallowtail kites, it's protected forever. So it's a place that they can continue to come, and it's gonna be there for them to feed. But I was sitting there thinking, what if space had not protected that property? And they came back on their cycle, and that leads to the most important part of all. They had, it's like the swap, DNR swap, it's almost like a baseball card or trading card or something. It has stats about the species. You can go look at it. But it talks about their defining characteristics. And it defined the swallowtail kite as a species of highest concern and needed maximum conservation efforts for two reasons. One, they have high site fidelity, extremely high site fidelity, which means they are loyal to place. They will nest, they live years and years and years. They will nest in the same tree year after year after year after year, and they nest as a family. That was the second feature, is that they bond. They have these huge family ties, these family bonds, and they nest together. So they'll nest in the same tree, they feed in the same place, and then they go and winter in South America. And then they do the cycle over again. And I was sitting there thinking about, what if this wasn't here? What if they came back and this was a Westgate Mall? And it's one of those things with conservation, we can think about ourselves and not think about God's creation or, something non-human. But it's like, it kind of breaks your heart, but makes you proud at the same time of, wow, we're impacting something so much deeper than we could possibly ever understand. We have pictures, the more I dug, again, we found pictures from 10 years ago where the people that lived on that farm had pictures of kites, but they only saw a few. So the numbers are increasing, and it's only there because it's protected and they know that it's a place that they can come and they've grown fond to and have that site fidelity to. And so that's just something that has been sticking in my mind for a very long time, is kind of this perfect, beautiful analogy for what we do and the importance of it beyond just ourselves. I will close with this, and I think this is probably partially why Bill invited me. We purchased the Glendale Mill property in 2022, and you may have seen it in the papers, but we currently have a property under contract that is adjacent to the Glendale Mill property. It's 948 acres, and arguably the most expensive and impactful conservation project in the state of South Carolina this year. And there's a lot of big groups, groups like the Nature Conservancy and friends of ours, but Spaces, we're kind of a small fish organization in the sea of conservation. We're one county group with 3 employees. And I'm extremely proud of our board and our team for managing to pull this together. Currently, we have $5 million committed to the acquisition of that property. And on May 28th, we will be going in front of the Joint Bond Review Committee of the state of South Carolina, and they're going to determine if we're going to get $20 million from them. That 948 acres is $25 million acquisition. And so keep us in your thoughts as we go for that. The ultimate intent of that property, happy to answer questions afterwards, but it would be publicly accessible forever if we acquire it. So it'd be people are calling it the Central Park of Spartanburg. And you can drive there right now. I'll give you directions if you want to go see it. I can't step on it yet until we buy it, but but it is a very exciting time, and hopefully this is a boost in the right direction to getting those numbers to where we want to be. But it's a big one. So thank you all for your time. I look forward to speaking with you all afterwards, and thanks for sharing your time with me. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. I've been living in Glendale in close proximity to the Shoals, my wife and I, and our daughter for a while, for more than 40 years. And in fact, we had a meeting one time with Space during the Mary Walter era, and Billy Tobias came over to the LeMaster house where we were living, or live now. And in just a matter of days, he but he donated the shoals. I mean, just spontaneous gesture of his heart. And he's a salt of the earth kind of guy, and it's just amazing. And I think we should have a bronze statue dedicated to Billy Tobias, and he's such an unassuming, humble guy. But our good fortune has been to be in close proximity to the shoals, that little sliver of landscape. And my wife, Kristen, and I belong to the shoals of Glendale. My imagination is fed and nourished by the water that flows, spilling over the dam, cascading down waterfalls in the shoals below. The more than human life that flourishes there, the sacred flora and fauna, the stones, the divinities stir and they disturb my daylight consciousness and my dreaming consciousness into poems, songs, and paintings. They always show up uninvited. And I try to see them with the eye of a naturalist, the eye of a poet, with a disciplined Zen-like attitude, suspending for a little while my addiction for meaning. Just see the image. So I've been asked to do a couple of poems, and there's a song, and they all happen to feature birds, and they all kind of come out of this landscape. And this first song, which my Anam Cara, Nancy, on short notice, decided that she could accompany me, so we changed the key, and so I appreciate that. But it's basically it's called "The Hawk is on the Power Line," and hawks have haunted my consciousness since during the Michael Harner days, the spirit animals, and but where I live, we have red-shouldered hawks everywhere, and red-tailed hawks in the pastures nearby, and a Cooper's hawk that we are becoming very acquainted with. And so, but this is a story of an older grandfather, which would be me, and or younger grandfather, I guess in my early 50s, and my oldest granddaughter, Chelsea. And the hawk for me is always the representation of spiritual movement, ascending, going towards the light, rising, flying. My dad used to say, rise above. But soul is a movement down. Soul is like water. It finds the low places, the suffering. It's teaching in the public schools, or Mother Teresa in the it was the leper colony. So there are two movements, and we all have these things within us. But this is, but Chelsea, in this, she embodies for me this perspective of the soul. Thou is soaring all alone, his cries rise up till morning sun, he smiles my way out of view, I take my garden here with you. There's a part of me that wants to come way up high in the shining sun. Say goodbye to the fleeting forms, things that won't survive the storm. Chelsea, I'm flying. I love the bird with the broken wing. It broke my heart when I heard her sing. I love the fragile, failing form, things that die that once were born. Chelsea, there's four leaves. The sea is vast, how I love the waves. They rise and fall and won't be safe. Don't speak here and now. The hawk is on the power line, motionless in the gray sky. Doesn't care if the lightning comes, eyes that watch the shifting forms. A mystery of peace. I love to bird with a broken wing. It broke my heart when I heard her sing. I love the fragile fading forms, things that died and once were born. Gently cares for these.
Before we have our offering, I'm going to invite Donna Horton to come up here. There's a photograph sitting on the stand, and I'd like her to explain a little bit about that photograph. And then we're going to collect our offering. We're going to pass the offering stars around, and a portion of the offering this evening has been designated for space, honoring Sam for being with us and for Bill, who's sharing his marvelous creativity and energy with us. And then after you've placed your contribution in the offering star, if you would like to come up to one of the vases and offer a prayer for the earth. Pick up a pebble, as we often do at Tranquility with Tea, and just drop it. One or two, just drop it. And that is your prayer. The bubbles going up to the surface will be your prayer. Donna?
Thank you, Sue. I thought it's a picture of a tree. My sister called it the Joshua tree, and she had a cabin at Tiburon, New Mexico. And we would go there every year, and every year we would see the tree. I'm not sure if it's still there because there was a forest fire, and they lost their cabin, but we still love the tree, and I hope it's still there and y'all enjoy it. Thank you very much.
I'm going to invite Kathy and Tanya, is that right? Our greeters this evening, if they would just pass around the offering stars. And then after you have put your contribution, your donation in, if you'd like to come up and drop a pebble, your prayer for Mother Earth. Joining our voices, let us sing Ubi Caritas. Ubi Caritas et amor, Ubi Caritas, Deus ibi est, live in charity and steadfast love, live in charity, God will dwell with you. Bill is going to read 2 original poems for us. Bill?
Thank you. This Green Heron poem, it was my sister and I. Let me give you the setup. My sister Nancy, my biological sister Nancy Dishler, we were at the Shoals having this amazing conversation that she can tell me certain things, hear certain things. It's just wonderful. And then we were, on the stone, this beautiful poison ivy vine, gorgeous thing. And this was back when the Shoals was more like crouching tiger, hidden dragon, bamboo, very intimate with ducks. I mean, it's a very different look than the wide open. It was wonderful. And we were having this conversation, and then there was a startling, stunning appearance of this green heron, which was supposed to be a shy, retiring bird. But this bird gave a demonstration, and that continued on, a workshop for me later on in ravenous hunger and aggression and violence. So this shy, retiring, and I've never seen him since. But anyway, so this is Sister, let the lofty grandfather of poison oak vines grapple with spiritual matters. He has scaled the heights upon a sturdy tree by the river. We sit beside him, unobsessed, where the waterfalls descend. Our perfect words disappear gladly into the river. Vigilance and breathing remain. A green heron comes to fish only a few feet away. He dances on a steep slope beside a narrow waterfall, plucking out fish with precision, swallowing them whole, one after another. We see them wiggle in his belly. Yes, wiggle in his belly, and he flies away. Now, there is a love that longs to fall, flying like a fish through waterfalls, into the mouth of a magnificent bird. There is another of ravenous hunger, the terrible emptiness of green herons and dark angels. And sister, what is this that resides in the dancing? It is love, holding our forms this close to falling. And this was in 1989. Another heron here that it took me many, many years to even find the right words to write a poem about this, the blue heron, and it was in 2018, finding the right words for me came. And it's sort of like, If somebody asks, well, how are you doing? I've been through a lot here since when at age 70, a lot of unexpected kinds of things. But somebody asks me how I'm doing, well, it's the blue heron, it's this poem. It's the most poetic, nicest way to put it. A lonely traveler flies above me at dusk. I follow him with my eyes, my spirit. Our paths cross at this ancient intersection between the realms of daylight and night. We share this brief window in which powerful magic is possible. I lose him as he glides beneath the tree line of the singing shoals down below. He knows this river that feeds him. An old man now, I surrender to ancient somatic imperatives of biology and time, tracing lines of movement animated by a song that is piercing the thinning diaphanous veil. The temples of my vanities are at last crumbling and collapsing all about my feet. Ah, the shining boy is flying now. I am guided by a blue-gray bird to a shore that is coming into focus. Thank you.
One last thing before we have our benediction and our sending out. Sitting over here by the door, Donna Horton has been busy in her yard digging up Rose of Sharon seedlings. There are a number of them there. If you would please, as you're leaving and you have a place to grow one, take one home with you. She did this just for us for this Earth Day 2024. Wonderful. Let's join our voices in the Lord's Prayer, the Aramaic translation by Neil Douglas Klotz. O birther, mother, father, mother of the cosmos, you create all that moves in light. Your name, your sound can move us if we tune our hearts as instruments for its tone. Desire with and through us the rule of universal fruitfulness unto the earth. Your desire then acts with ours, as in all light, so in all forms. Grant what we need each day in bread and insight, subsistence for the call of growing life. Loose the cords of mistakes binding us as we release the strands we hold of others' guilt. To you belongs each fertile function, ideals, energy, glorious harmony during every cosmic cycle. Amen. Now stand as you are able and let's sing Go Now in Peace. As we leave this space, head to the back for cookies, lemonade, and to welcome our guests. Sing. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere. Everywhere you may go. Until we meet again on May the 12th, may God's peace, God's grace, and God's love surround you so that you are blessed to be blessings to this Mother Earth. Amen.